According to the Marines, Rox D. Xebec is supposed to be dead. They tell us that Garp and Roger had tag teamed him into oblivion at God Valley 38 years ago. But here's the thing, Oda has dropped his real name, which is revealed to be Davy D. Xebec in chapter 1158. We also learn that he is Blackbeard's father, and suddenly all of these weird mysteries about Teach begin to make sense. Rox is a guy who had waltzed into Merijo, he had held King's hostage, he killed an admiral, and he had a casual conversation with Emu in the Room of Flowers like he was ordering coffee. How could it be that someone this broken just ends up dying off screen? This is the same manga where Pell tanked a nuke, where Sabo died apparently for a decade, where we literally just found out Kuma's consciousness is still kicking around as a cyborg. So when it comes to the character of Rox, there does appear to be something off. Some fans have theorized that Rox isn't just alive, he's actually been pulling strings all along behind the scenes. In this video, I'll be breaking down and explaining if Rox could still be alive within the current era of One Piece. Let's examine the strangeness behind Rox's death. Sengoku states that Rox is no longer alive. Now in the world of One Piece, this may as well be a neon sign screaming plot twist incoming. Compare this vagueness to how Oda handles actual deaths. We watched Ace get a magma fist through the chest. We saw Whitebeard standing dead with half of his face melted off, and we even got Odin boiling in oil for an hour straight. But when it comes to Rox, the strongest pirate of his era, we see nothing. There's zero visual confirmation, just second-hand reports from the same government that tried to convince us that Sabo got blown up by a celestial dragon. Something is massively off about the God Valley incident. Roger only turns up to save Shaki, and he supposedly teams up with Garp to protect the celestial dragons who were literally hunting humans for sport, and this is the very same Roger who had declared that he hated the celestial dragons. Some fans theorize that Rox had gone full berserker mode while trying to protect his family. Maybe Roger and Garp were pushed into a position where they had no choice but to team up to stop him from nuking the entire island. Could it be that the two of them had even helped to fake his death because the real enemy was always the world government? We don't know because Oda deliberately keeps showing us everything except the actual God Valley incident. The world government didn't just erase God Valley from the maps, they had also told their own version of what had happened on the island. This is the incident that had earned Garp the title of Marine Hero, which he hates. Rox had a major target on his head because he knew about Emu. He knew about the Flower Room, and he called himself a worshipper of Davy Jones, and he talked about returning from the underworld. This isn't some random pirate who stumbled into forbidden knowledge. This is someone with connections to the Void Century itself. With Blackbeard being the son of Rox, every bizarre thing about him begins to make sense. First off, the multiple personalities that he has. When Luffy and Zoro had met Blackbeard at Jaya, they straight up said it's not him, it's them. Not metaphorical, they're not talking about his crew, they sensed multiple presences within one body. Now add Marco saying Teacher's body structure is abnormal, and it has been since birth, as in since he was a 1-year-old baby whose dad might have done something real messed up to ensure his legacy had survived. Blackbeard has more than just chronic insomnia, he is actually unable to sleep. Buggy mentioned Teach has literally never slept once in his entire life. Well, the only way that this could happen is if there are two souls within his body taking shifts. So while Teach's consciousness rests, Daddy Rox takes the wheel. Then there's the issue of Blackbeard possessing two devil fruits. We know the rules. For every soul there can only be one devil fruit. That's the rule. But if you've got two souls within your body, then yes, you'll be able to break the system and have access to two devil fruits. The Yami Yami no Mi for Teach and the Gura Gura no Mi for Rox. Now before you said that this is impossible, remember that the Opi Opi no Mi exists. The fruit that the world government would pay 5 billion berries for. The fruit that can perform a personality transplant surgery, which Doflamingo specifically highlighted as one of its ultimate techniques. Is it coincidence that Rox's child just happened to hunt down the exact same devil fruit that his father had probably wanted? Blackbeard specifically targeted Whitebeard's power. Teach didn't just inherit his father's will, it seems as though he may be literally carrying his father's soul. Blackbeard scarred Shanks before he had any devil fruit. Pre-power-up, Teach somehow wounded one of the strongest Haki users alive. You know what would explain that? If occasionally it wasn't Teach fighting at all, if it was Rox taking over his body, thus allowing him to do these insane feats. There's also Blackbeard's Jolly Roger with the 3 skulls, which doesn't seem to just be decoration. It could be Teach, Rox, and Davy Jones being represented as the skulls. 3 personalities, with the 3 skulls grinning at us this entire time, as it seems as though we have missed the obvious with Blackbeard's character. What if I told you that Oda has been shoving some evidence in our face that Rox could still be alive, but what Hancock's fruit can turn people to stone, and the petrification doesn't break even if the user dies. The world government had this fruit before giving it to Hancock. Now what if Rox got petrified at God Valley? It would explain why Blackbeard specifically targeted Hancock, not for her power but for her to undo the petrification on her father. When that plan had failed and really showed up, Blackbeard backed off because he realized that he'd need the original user or another method. There's also the possibility that Rox is frozen and impelled down. We have that mysterious level 5.5 prisoner that even the gods whisper about, supposedly frozen solid. Someone Ivankov specifically avoided, someone important enough to keep on ice but too dangerous to execute. There is also Thriller Bark. Moria had the corpse of multiple Rox pirates from Captain John, Silver Axe, and potentially others. If Rox died at God Valley, then why didn't Moria have the biggest prize of all? Unless Rox's body was never there to collect. If the theories are true that Moria had transformed God Valley into a floating ship, then it's pretty absurd that he doesn't have access to Rox's body. We know that Rox had formed his crew to take on the world government. He knew about the ancient weapons, the Void Century secrets, and even Imu's existence. The latest chapters of One Piece appear to be diving into the entire backstory of the God Valley incident. We know about the events leading up to it. Now Oda is about to finally tell us what had gone down on the island. If Rox is in fact still alive, then it's going to be the longest con in manga history, considering that almost every Yonko aside from Shanks had stemmed from his crew. The Revolutionary Army exists because of God Valley. Garp's entire hero reputation is built on a lie about beating Rox, and the man's fingerprints are pretty much on everything. Having Rox return doesn't undermine anyone's growth, it completes the generational cycle. Where Roger had fought off against Rox, now Luffy has the opportunity to battle Blackbeard / Rox, the dual personalities. Just imagine the reveal. Blackbeard does something truly impossible, everybody is confused, and then we get a panel where the consciousness of Rox comes to the surface. We see the psychotic grin as he announces that he is back to finish what he had started. Honestly, One Piece fans would lose their collective minds even more than when Gear 5 had first dropped. One Piece is unlike other manga where the ancient evil returns just for shock value. Oda has done an incredible job of setting up plot threads that have been around since the very first chapter. From the Will of D, the Void Century, why the world government fears pirates more than revolutionaries, it all connects via Rox. Is Rox alive then? At this point it's harder to argue that he's actually dead, because Blackbeard's impossible abilities, along with the suspicious lack of a confirmed death scene, the evidence is overwhelming that Rox may well still be alive. Whether if he's possessing his son or he's been turned to stone or he is frozen and impelled down, it's very likely that Rox is still out there somewhere. So yeah, we have reached the point of the video where I want to hand over the discussion to all of you. What do you guys think about the possibility of Rox being alive? Do you agree or disagree with some of the theories that I've proposed? If you think that he's alive, how do you think he's going to return to the story? Do let me know by continuing the discussion in the comments, and lastly, thanks for making it to the end of this one, and I cannot wait to see you in my next One Piece video.
A massive thank you goes out to all of my amazing Patreon supporters for helping to make this video possible. If you also want to support the channel and see your name in the end of my videos, then check out my Patreon, which has loads of perks like early video access and so much more. Thank you for sticking around till the end of the video, and whatever you contribute will mean a lot to me.